Sophie Cunningham owned JC Sheldon from the same game that Marina Mabrey did the massive body slam into Caitlin Clark on. She still owns JC. She still owns JC Sheldon. And what's great is she's got a great sense of humor about it, and she's not shy about it. I mean, what are they?
Picture this. A WNBA superstar casually signing autographs at a fan event, all smiles and community vibes, when suddenly a fan slides over a rookie card that changes everything. Not just any rookie card, the card of a player who's made a habit of targeting the league's biggest star. What happens next? Sophie Cunningham grabs that pen, looks down at JC Sheldon's face staring back at her, and writes 4 words that would ignite the entire basketball world. Property of Sophie Cunningham. And just like that, one of the most savage moments in WNBA history was born. This isn't just another...
Crazy. This one is kind of crazy. When you get Sophie Cunningham to sign a JC Sheldon rookie card with property of... That is crazy.
The petty sports feud, folks. This is the story of how Sophie Cunningham transformed herself from a solid role player into the most feared enforcer in women's basketball, all while serving up the kind of cold-blooded revenge that makes even the toughest competitors think twice. Because when you mess with Caitlin Clark, you're not just dealing with one player anymore. You're dealing with her personal bodyguard, and Sophie Cunningham doesn't forget. Let's rewind to where this all started, because the drama didn't begin with that autograph. It began on a basketball court during one of the most chaotic games of the season, where JC Sheldon learned the hard way that every action has consequences. The same game where Marina Mabrey decided to audition for the NFL with that truck stick body slam on Caitlin Clark that had everyone's jaws on the floor.
Oh, they're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on.
But before Mabrey made her mark as public enemy number 1, JC Sheldon was already testing boundaries, getting a little too comfortable with her hands-on approach to defending the league's golden child. Now, here's what most people don't understand about Sophie Cunningham. She's not your typical enforcer. She's not some bench warmer whose only job is to collect fouls and start fights. This woman has been quietly building her reputation as someone you absolutely do not want cross, and she's got the skills to back it up. When Sheldon threw that unnecessary bump at Clark, thinking she could get away with it because the refs weren't calling anything, Sophie wasn't just taking mental notes.
Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this.
She was adding it to her to-do list. What happened next was basketball poetry in motion. Sophie delivered what can only be described as the perfect enforcer's response. A clean, calculated reminder that had JC Sheldon feeling it in her shoulder blades for the rest of the game. This wasn't some dirty play or reckless retaliation. This was the basketball equivalent of looking someone dead in the eye and saying, "We saw what you did, and it's not happening again." The message was crystal clear.
See, she's the problem. She is the problem.
Sophie takes the card, grabs the pen, and writes across the front, "Property of Sophie Cunningham." That's not a scribble. That's a declaration. That's, "You want to press our star? Cool. Here's the bill." It's also a...
Watch our star, and you'll be dealing with me. But here's where the story gets absolutely wild, because Sophie Cunningham doesn't operate like your average player. Most enforcers deliver their...
would take her rightful place as the Indiana Fever enforcer, and I believe took the first step to her becoming the second most popular player in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham is everywhere. Arby's, walking in, She's the best looking woman walking into these WNBA arenas. I mean, black belt Barbie, anybody? Black belt Barbie.
The clip hit social like gasoline. Lexi Hull, sitting next to Sophie at the table, dissolves into laughter while the fans lose it. It's one of those rare, perfect moments that blends rivalry, humor, and unfiltered competitiveness. The stuff that actually builds a team's culture and a fan base's identity.
Message on the court and call it a day. Sophie, she took it to a whole different level. Fast forward to a fan event where she's doing the usual community engagement, signing programs, taking photos, chopping it up with the people who show up hours early just to meet their favorite players. The atmosphere is relaxed, friendly, exactly what you'd expect from a player giving back to the community. Then comes the moment that nobody saw coming. A fan approaches with a JC Sheldon rookie card, and you can almost see the gears turning in Sophie's head. This isn't a request for a standard autograph or a heart or her jersey number. This fan wants something special, something that captures what everyone in that building had been thinking during that chaotic game.
Sophie Cunningham has been Caitlin Clark's biggest cheerleader and defender.
And it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What? When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as.
The sad truth about this video we just watched is she is the first WNBA player.
They want a statement. Sophie takes that card, looks down at Sheldon's face, and in that split second, she makes a decision that would echo through the entire WNBA. She grabs her pen and writes across the front. Property of Sophie Cunningham. Not a scribble, not a throwaway signature. A declaration of ownership that sent shockwaves through social media faster than you could say, Black Belt Barbie. The beauty of this moment isn't just in the savage nature of what she wrote, but in how she owned it completely. No backtracking, no. I was just joking. Damage control. No notes up apology that we see from athletes who get cold feet after making bold statements.
Is the reason we have been talking about the WNBA. Hate it or love it, it's true. I don't believe that Caitlin Clark necessarily wants that title that everyone has been giving to her. I think she just wants to be appreciated. And Sophie Cunningham, she just seems like such a real one, such a good friend. I think especially with women, especially elite level athletes, there's a lot of people, women, who will kind of stab you in the back. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of resentment, especially when you're good. But Sophie just seems like such a girl's girl. I really, really like.
Sophie leaned into it with the kind of confidence that makes legends, and the basketball world took notice immediately. What makes this even more incredible is understanding who Sophie Cunningham really is as a player. This woman isn't riding the bench hoping to make headlines through controversy. Since the All-Star break, she's been absolutely torching nets, stepping into three-pointers like she owns the entire arc, and putting up the kind of numbers that have opposing coaches losing sleep. We're talking about 15, 18, 20...
Obviously, when you get a Sophie Cunningham signed a JC Sheldon card, like, I think we should...
point nights on the regular, clutch performances when the Fever needed buckets most, and the kind of efficiency that makes her enforcer energy feel like a bonus rather than her main selling point. When Phoenix needed to be reminded who runs things, Sophie delivered 18 points on command while some of her teammates were still figuring out what city they were playing in. That's the difference between a goon and a game changer. Sophie brings both the intimidation factor and the production that wins games people actually remember. The viral explosion that followed the autograph incident was something to behold. Social media platforms crashed under the weight of basketball fans sharing clips, creating memes, and dubbing Sophie everything from Black Belt Barbie to the second coming of...
Really is. Indiana Fever star takes humorous jab at Caitlin Clark villain. You got to love an Iowa Hawkeyes wire headline. That's really good. That's JC Sheldon. Congratulations. That's all you're known as. The chick that was mean to Caitlin Clark. That's your legacy. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you've been traded, and I don't think you're much...
Greatest enforcers in sports history. But this wasn't just internet noise. This was a cultural moment that perfectly captured the blend of rivalry, humor, and unfiltered competitiveness that makes sports compelling. Fever fans didn't just embrace the moment. They claimed it as their own personal anthem. Here was their star player's protector, serving up the kind of cold-blooded revenge that every fan base dreams about. Meanwhile, JC Sheldon found herself on the wrong end of basketball karma, watching her rookie card become the centerpiece of one of the most savage moments in recent WNBA history. Let's talk about what this moment represents in the bigger picture, because Sophie versus JC would be nothing more than a footnote if the league had done its job protecting its main attraction. Every other professional sports league understands the simple formula. When you have a transcendent superstar who brings eyeballs, ratings, and revenue, you protect that investment.
Number 5 overall in the 2024 WNBA draft by the Dallas Wings, following 5 seasons at Ohio State, has quickly established herself a very negative opinion for both Hawkeye and Fever fans after her June 17 flagrant one on Clark and her eventually uncalled for knee to the right groin area during the July 15 clash in Boston as a member of the Connecticut Sun. By the way, can you stay with the team? You got selected by Dallas. You're already on your 3rd.
The WNBA, they've let opposing players turn Caitlin Clark into target practice. The pattern has been undeniable and frankly embarrassing for a league trying to build mainstream credibility. We've seen Carter's blindside cheap shots, Reese's strategic hip checks, Mabrey's after the whistle violence, and Sheldon's conveniently accidental, hands finding their way to Clark's face and body. Meanwhile, the referees have looked the other way with the kind of consistency that suggests either incompetence or intentional negligence. This is where Sophie Cunningham's role becomes not just important, but absolutely essential for the integrity of the game. When the officials won't do their job, when the
it just feels like people are jealous of this new little wave of
They are,
rookies.
but I just hate that because like this is what we've always wanted as a league. So like who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
Like you are literally making money from the viewership.
And why bully the person who is like not 100% responsible, but like has a huge role in growing your sport?
Dude, and it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
league office issues meaningless fines that hit all the wrong people. When opposing guards realize they can make highlight reels by taking cheap shots at the sport's biggest star, someone has to step up and restore order. Sophie decided that someone would be her. Now, let's examine what this means for JC Sheldon's career trajectory, because this story isn't just about Sophie's rise, it's about the consequences of trying to build your reputation by tearing down someone else's. Sheldon was drafted 5th overall by the Dallas Wings in 2024, a position that comes with legitimate expectations and the kind of opportunities most players can only dream about. Instead of focusing on developing her game and earning respect through her play, she's managed to make herself more famous for cheap fouls than actual basketball production. The numbers
payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't gonna injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't gonna handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, JC Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and JC are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
The story of a career that's already off the rails. Drafted by Dallas, couldn't stick with the team through a full season. Got shipped to Connecticut, then found herself in Washington. 3 teams in less than 2 years. That's not the trajectory of a player building something sustainable. That's the resume of someone whose reputation is preceding her talent in all the wrong ways. And now, thanks to Sophie's autograph masterpiece, Sheldon's biggest headline isn't a breakout scoring performance or a defensive showcase that proves she belongs at this level. Her legacy is becoming the player who got owned by Sophie.
Half, the rest didn't call. Someone should have been thrown out, and the rest did not call it.
Correct. I remember that.
They didn't. And so I was like, all right,
she got full body
dude,
chested.
by 3 people.
Yeah.
Like 2 people, they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, if that was anyone else, I would have been booted out of the game. I know that for sure. I'm a little sassy, but like, so are they.
Your leash is shorter though, because they know.
Literally, I don't even have a leash. I just have a freaking collar and a hand on it. Anyway, so there was like 45 seconds left. The girl stole the ball, and I was running back, and I was like, we're up. I don't need to foul. And I was like, just let her go. And I was like, all right, like, who cares?
Cunningham and the guard who couldn't stop targeting Caitlin Clark. In a league where storylines can define careers, that's not exactly the narrative you want attached to your name. What makes Sophie's approach even more brilliant is how rare this kind of public psychological warfare is in women's basketball.
Right now, all of it. Got the podcast, and a damn good one. I mean, when's the next podcast drop? News is getting slow. There's got to be at least 3 or 4 good things in every Sophie.
Players get chippy during games, sure, but taking a calculated shot at an opponent during a community signing event? That's next-level mind games that shows Sophie understands the modern sports landscape where social media moments can be just as powerful as on-court performances. She's not building her brand around being universally liked or politically correct. She's positioning herself as the kind of player you absolutely do not want to cross. Someone whose teammates know will have their back when the going gets rough. The Black Belt Barbie nickname isn't just about her martial arts background. It represents the perfect balance of talent, toughness, and swagger that makes elite competitors special. This moment also establishes something crucial for the Indiana Fever's team identity moving forward. Every championship-level team needs that enforcer presence, that player who makes opponents think twice before testing boundaries. Gretzky had his protectors. Jordan had multiple enforcers. Kobe had players willing to take technicals for him. And Curry has Draymond Green, making life difficult for anyone who gets too aggressive with the superstar.
One of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmaitland.
Kirtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
No,
is that fair to say?
not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport?
basketball as a whole around the world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old and the whole world is watching.
Calculus changes completely when opponents know there will be consequences for targeting your best player. It's one thing to deliver a cheap shot when you think you can get away with it without repercussions. It's an entirely different situation when you know Sophie Cunningham is watching, waiting, and ready to make you pay for crossing that line. As we look toward future matchups between these teams, this storyline isn't fading away, it's intensifying. Every time the Fever faces the sun, the cameras will be focused on the Sophie Sheldon dynamic. Fans will be watching for any sign of continued drama, and the tension will be thick enough to cut with a knife.
Teammates, or I wish more teammates of Caitlin Clark would get this fired up when their transcendent superstar, who's now hurt and has missed half the games this year, has been the target, that some of the other players would get a little bit aggressive on behalf of Caitlin Clark. Get in between something. You never, this is in the NBA. Every team in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, I mean, these transcendent stars, it's always the goon, the enforcer. In this case, Sophie Cunningham, I mean, normally these guys, they're not really putting up numbers. The difference here is Sophie Cunningham is a real basketball.
That's the power of having a legitimate enforcer on your roster. It changes the entire atmosphere and forces opponents to play a different kind of mental game. Sophie Cunningham didn't just put JC Sheldon in her place with that autograph. She sent a message that echoed through every locker room in the WNBA. There's a new sheriff in town, and her paperwork is definitely in order. The question now isn't whether this was the perfect clap back. The viral explosion and fan reaction already answered that. The real question is whether the rest of the league got the message, or if Sophie's going to have to keep making examples until they do.
You got tossed.
And it's 2-on-1. Yeah, I got tossed.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're good. But so in a situation like that, does Caitlin come up to you after and say like, because the internet whole thing was, look at fucking Sophie sticking up for Caitlin, like this is dope.
But I was.
No, I know you were.
But in the locker room, I think she was like, finally, you know, like finally someone else. I was like, dude, I got you. Like it's, but I think that kind of had our team come together as a whole. And it's
Dude,
like, no, we gotta have you. Like it was
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really was though. Like I feel like